Christensen near the airport, live from the Whipple Federal Building there. A protest about an hour ago, Matt, was just getting started, and we saw many people gathering, as you can see right there by Kelsey.
And Kelsey, this group eventually has plans to march, correct?
Yeah, excuse me, I'm out of breath. We just ran to the other side of the Whipple building here. Things are escalating here very, very quickly. Protesters just ran from the other side of the street where the Whipple building was at the entrance. You can see this right now. Face to face here with ICE agents in full gear and weapons drawn. I did just see some mace deployed here in the crowd. See some shoving and pushing here. We're gonna zoom in. I'm gonna step back. They're telling us to get back. Mace was deployed. You see these weapons that they're holding here now at protesters. It was peaceful until this point. This just happening moments ago. I apologize being out of breath. We had to run to this side of the building to get some of this action here. You see ICE agents and protesters pushing back against each other. ICE telling them to get out of this perimeter. Again, this is the federal building where ICE operates out of. You can see protesters here pushing back. ICE agents pushing back as well here. Weapons in hand, full riot gear. See if we can get a little bit closer to give you a look. But you can see hundreds of people here now at this point. It has remained peaceful until this moment. Protesters telling ICE to get out of Minnesota, calling for their arrest now. Trying to get a better look for you as we make our way through the crowd here.
Kelsey, as you're making your way through that crowd,
all this happening is ICE agents are getting into work here.
Shame, 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 shame. Kelsey, we know it's very loud there. Did federal officials give any indication or warning that these folks would be coming out? I'm hoping you can hear us here this morning. Coming out to address this crowd that has gathered.
I'm getting a little bit of tear gas.
Oh boy, Shane.
Sorry, guys, I'm inhaling a little bit of tear gas. Okay.
Yeah, Kelsey, stay safe out there. We heard from Kelsey just moments ago that the ICE agents were telling people there to get out of the perimeter. That is what Kelsey Christensen, live there on the scene, was just telling us. And she was saying up until moments ago, everything was sort of quiet and peaceful, and then things, they're escalating. Kelsey getting out of the way to stay safe with some tear gas.
Yeah, and can we still look at that live video, or that live view of the scene, if possible, because I wanted to see the location where that was all taking place. It looked like an entrance to the facility, an entrance to near the federal building.
That
again,
federal
the live
building.
Camera's back. And so, and again, Kelsey, in her reporting, not really indicating whether the federal agents made clear why all of a sudden, for this large crowd that had gathered outside the building, that they had emerged, again, as she pointed out here, with weapons drawn, and we're seeing the clash that's happening here. But it does appear to be right near an entrance. Perhaps the thinking here was to try to clear the way for some vehicles that needed to come into the facility. We just don't know.
We do know for the past hour or so, there have been people gathering. This large crowd has been there for a time. In fact, leading up to that 7 o'clock planned gathering protest there. In Kelsey's live reports, we were seeing people gathering there. And Kelsey saying again moments ago, she started to inhale some tear gas. So more interaction here back and forth between the protesters and ICE agents.
Was mace, not tear gas, mace.
Okay, Kelsey saying that was mace, not tear gas. Kelsey, walk us through what you're seeing. We want you and our photojournalist out there to stay safe. Walk us through what you're seeing. Again, you said there was a stark change within just the past 10 minutes out there.
Yeah, guys, I'm not exactly sure. I lost my photographer here in the crowd, so I'm not exactly sure what you're looking at, but I'm guessing it's the front lines here. Now protesters still going face-to-face with ICE. However, there is a gap at this point. I haven't been seeing pushing and shoving within the last 30 seconds or so, but you do see about a dozen ICE officers here face-to-face with these protesters as they're chanting at them to leave, calling calling for their arrest, saying profanities at these ICE agents. They are holding their weapons. As you can see, looks like they are in riot gear. Mace was deployed. I thought it might have been tear gas, but I was secondhand to some of that mace coming in. It's really potent. I was just seeing some people getting their face watered down to clear some of that mace. Unsure, of course, what's going to happen next. This is happening literally live right now. ICE agents face to face with hundreds of protesters as they were coming up to the barrier of this federal building where ICE operates out of. That's when ICE came into the parking lot about 100 yards or so from them. They stayed away from the protesters for about 10 minutes, but then protesters on the other side of the building started inching closer in towards their parking lot. That's when the ICE agents came out, and that's what you're seeing right now as they're face to face, still outside of the Whipple building, just barely outside of the perimeter. I haven't seen anyone storm the building or their parking lot, as though ICE has created a barrier, but certainly a very tense situation filled with so much emotion from these protesters. I've seen many tears as these people are screaming for ICE to get out of Minnesota and screaming Renee Good's name as they do so.
And Kelsey, now that you can hear us again, and again, please do what you need to do to stay safe, but the live view we're looking at is of that line that the federal agents have formed, again, with the weapons right there at hand, and then we see the demonstrators, the protesters who have gathered face to face with them here this morning. From your perspective, you're experiencing this just like others there in the crowd. When the federal agents emerged, did they explain, or was there any clarity as to why they were moving into this area and trying to move people back? Is it perhaps because it's an entrance to the federal facility here and they're trying to keep that clear? Was there any understanding about what this is all about? Because it certainly has, as you said, escalated quickly.
Yeah, that's still what I'm trying to figure out. Again, I had to run to the other side of the building to understand what was happening, but from what I'm gathering right now, it's because they do not want protesters to storm into the federal building. It seems that that is their concern because they're creating this barrier right here where ICE agents are coming into work this morning. And as ICE agents started coming into work within the last half hour or so, that is when the crowd started to come closer across the road. They're now blocking the roadway for ICE agents to get into work. So they're telling people to get back, and then people started inching forward, and that's when the mace was deployed. As the protesters were inching forward towards the ICE agents, though, they were still outside of the building perimeter. You saw some pushing and shoving. That is not happening currently, but that is what we just saw moments ago. And still protesters, hundreds of protesters here, face to face with ICE, telling them to get out of Minnesota, calling for their arrest. ICE agents now just stand. Oh, there's something else happening. Oh, careful, Nate, careful. Careful. You see this going down here with ICE agents trying to, we're not sure what happened, but now it's trying to grab protesters.
You are complicit.
We apologize for the profanity this morning, but this live breaking news coverage, and we don't have control over that situation as we bring you this breaking news.
Our photojournalist Nate out there along with our reporter Kelsey. Stay safe. They were saying, again, this was since prior to 7, hundreds of protesters gathering there at the federal Whipple building, Fort Snelling area near the airport. That is, of course, an ICE Immigration and Customs Enforcement building there. Things were peaceful up until now, about 20 minutes ago, when Kelsey said she heard some commotion, ran to the other side of that building, and that ICE agents were saying to stand back because protesters were approaching that parking lot area and they were holding that line. Kelsey saying that she was sprayed with some mace, and at one point, to stay safe, we broke away from Kelsey. And again, you see that situation escalating right there in real time.
We're going to take Okay, well, we're going to bring that back. Again, our concern also is for the safety of our crew, and we just wanted to give a moment there for our photographer and a reporter to relocate, but still want to bring you live coverage of this scene that is escalating fast, again, outside of the Whipple Federal Building there, not far from the airport this morning. There are some ICE offices in that building.
Sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you.
Yes, Kelsey, we can hear you, and you have something more for us right now.
Right now you're watching.
We're having trouble hearing Kelsey. We're losing her microphone, unfortunately.
Back up.
Perhaps we can give them one more moment to see if we can regroup technically and make sure that we can hear Kelsey.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention here, as we look again live at that scene that is escalating there at the Whipple Federal Building, Governor Tim Walz making it clear that he has put the National Guard on standby, no doubt, because of the worry about situations like this escalating into a situation of conflict between the two sides, the civil unrest, the screaming at each other. We're seeing it play out here live this morning.
Yeah, Kelsey and Nate on the ground right there trying to learn sort of at what point things escalated and why. I want to hear for a moment. We hear some chanting. Let's just listen in. Well, it's dissipating a little bit there, but again, so many protesters gathering. Things were quiet, so to speak, until, again, about 20 minutes ago, there was an escalation, and Kelsey trying to understand exactly why that was taking place with, you see there, this perimeter of those federal ICE agents in full gear. Kelsey, what is that?
I'm not sure she can hear us just yet. There she is. Kelsey, can you hear us?
Yeah, hi guys, sorry about that. I lost
okay.
Photographer Nate for a second. We found each other here. We're going to come closer into the crowd, what's going on. This is just changing here moment by moment. I did just see an ICE agent. Looks like they detained someone. They put a person right to the ground, about 3 agents. Pepper balls were deployed, so I apologize for the coughing. Excuse me, oh, sorry. Let us get a little bit closer here. Nate, come with me. This chanting shame after we just saw ICE agents take a few different people to the ground. Excuse me, deploying pepper balls. We watched them mace some of the crowd as the protesters here grow closer to the federal building. ICE agents now keeping a barrier as they have been, but something that changed. I'm not sure what exactly happened within the crowd for the ICE agents to come into the crowd and tackle someone, but that has been the latest development, is they actually ran into the crowd, pulling several people to the ground, deploying pepper balls, telling myself and several other people to get back. We do have press badges on, but in a situation like this, it's very difficult to be able to differentiate who's who. So we're trying to keep a safe distance as well. You see so many cameras right here, outlets from everywhere filming what's going on right now. And you hear this chanting. They're saying murderers go home, calling for ICE to leave Minnesota, again calling for their arrest. ICE now just standing there, creating a barrier. Not seeing any violent moments at this point, but we were expecting this to be a peaceful protest. Things are rapidly changing here within the last half hour as protesters grew closer to the federal building, as ICE agents were coming into work. That's when things really started escalating as they grew closer to their cars. Again, no one has surpassed the fence into that building. I believe that's what ICE agents were worried about as they created this barrier, but again, we're seeing violence here this morning again after this incident that unfolded in Minneapolis. We're now in Fort Snelling. The federal building is where ICE operates out of. That is why the protesters are here in this area. But right now, I want to show you again, ICE agents standing by in full riot gear, holding weapons. Looks like some of them wearing masks as pepper balls have been deployed. Mace has been deployed. We're still waiting to see what comes next here. Clearly, a situation that is not going to dissipate within the next few minutes. So stick with us, because we're going to be out here until this ends. But right now, looks like no violence is happening. Looks like that ICE agent does have mace in hand. Several people already have been maced. Pepper balls have been deployed. But right now,
Kelsey, for folks who are just
remaining peaceful, I guess is the word, for this moment, that could change at any moment.
Okay.
Kelsey,
It's quite something to watch Minneapolis go through this.
If you're just joining us here, we're breaking into coverage on Channel 5 this morning with this breaking news. Kelsey, we'll give you a break here so you can find some safety as you continue to bring us this live coverage. Again, if you are just joining us here, we're breaking into programming on Channel 5 this morning with this breaking news outside of the Whipple Federal Building near the airport in Minneapolis, where there are some ICE offices, and this crowd that started gathering a little more than an hour and a half ago to do a march this morning in a demonstration in response to the ICE agent shooting and killing a woman in South Minneapolis yesterday. This crowd of, which Kelsey estimates to be at a couple hundred people, reached a flashpoint here as federal agents emerged from that facility and, as we've watched here live, have been appearing to form a barrier trying to protect the grounds of that federal building.
Yeah, to get you caught up, we're grateful for your time here as we continue to track this breaking news. 8:21, I'm Brandy Powell here alongside Matt Belanger. We've been with Kelsey Christensen, our photographer Nate, there on the ground at the Federal Whipple Building, Fort Snelling. This is near the airport. A planned gathering, planned peaceful protest set there for 7 o'clock. We saw them gathering there shortly before that time, but about 20 minutes ago, as you just said, Kelsey said something changed and she ran over to the other side of that building there. Things escalated. That's what we've been showing you. And this all after yesterday morning, an ICE agent shot and killed a woman in South Minneapolis. Now today, the aftermath of these protests. And again, within the last half hour, things escalating out there.
And that's not the only scene where there are things happening right now this morning. So we've also been watching what's going on in South Minneapolis at the scene where this happened at 38th or 34th. And we've been keeping an eye on that. That is where there is a growing vigil for the woman who was killed. Kelsey, back with us now. Kelsey, again, your safety is of the utmost importance, okay? But as you continue to cover this live breaking news, what are you seeing now?
Right now, we have not seen any violence again since I checked back in with you a few moments ago. The crowd's still chanting and seems to only be growing out here this morning. Still hundreds of people here chanting at ICE outside of the federal building. You can see ICE agents standing by here, still creating a perimeter around the federal building where they operate out of here in the Twin Cities. We're close enough right now. They do see our press badges, but I have been told several times by them to get back. We were up close when they were putting someone to the ground. That looks like they put about a handful of people to the ground. Told me to get back, as well as several other protesters. That is when they deployed pepper balls right on the ground as a warning for people to get away, otherwise likely to be taken to the ground, ourselves as well. So right here you see them lining the federal building so that protesters do not come in. They're working to get ICE agents in to work. If you see that gate right there where the ICE agents are, that's where these staffers come in and out of work. That's when things started really escalating out here at Fort Snelling, because the crowd was on the other side of the street, clearly off of the federal building property. When agents started coming into work, that's when the crowd got really ramped up, telling them to get out of Minnesota, calling for their arrest. That's when the crowd crossed into the street and got as close as they could up into the fencing as well as the gates. We weren't sure if they were going to storm the building or not. They did not. They got very close. As that was happening, the parking lot is right up to the fence. ICE agents drew closer. They had their gear on, weapons in hand, and looks like something else is happening now. Down here, ICE agents coming face to face here with protesters on the other side of the building. Looks like the other protesters and us want to see what's going on here. So we're going to follow together, see what's happening. Looks like ICE agents creating another barrier at this second entrance where staffers come in and out of to get into work at the federal building. They're telling the crowd to get back right now. Protesters seemingly not listening. I'm going to get a little bit higher to see what's going on.
And Kelsey, as you look at what's going on there, to give people
Maces in hand.
And Kelsey, you were sprayed with a bit of
Looks
that
like
mace.
the agents are holding mace here. Oh, Brandy, you might be able to see. Nate, can we zoom in here? We're seeing shoving now with ICE agents telling the protesters to get back. I'm not seeing any mace deployed at this point like they did before. Let's watch here together and see what's happening. ICE agents pushing the crowd. Crowd seemingly not pushing back. If you see the man in the purple there, he was shoved pretty hard by that ICE agent. Looks like they're trying to get everyone across the street to get them off of the federal building property here.
Kelsey, I think it's
you see a lot
important
of people filming. As you know, Renee Good incident was filmed at so many different angles. Who doesn't have a cell phone these days? And that's exactly what we're also seeing out here, is everyone's filming, getting an account of how ICE is reacting to these protests as far as mace, pepper balls, putting people to the ground. A lot of this is, you saw this here on air with us, but a lot of this is also going to be coming out on camera on social media, I'm sure. So many people filming this as this protest escalates here very, very quickly.
Kelsey, I think it's very important as people turn on the TV and join us here with this breaking news coverage. Just want to reset where you're at and what we're seeing here, just to give people who are just turning on this coverage. We'll let you have a moment to regroup as we continue to look at your live view there of this scene. So what started as folks gathering around 7 o'clock this morning for a planned march outside of the Whipple Federal Building there near the airport off Highway 62 in South Minneapolis there, just about Fort Snelling area, at some point reached a flashpoint and a federal agency emerged. It's become clear as we've checked in on that live view, they appear to be protecting the facility. Clearly no official word from them on that, but that seems to be what they're doing. And they are clashing in a big way with these demonstrators who had gathered to carry out a peaceful march. That was the plan this morning.
The protesters there, because that, of course, is an area where ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement offices are. You heard Kelsey a moment ago mention Renee Good. That is the name of the woman, the 37-year-old mother who was shot and killed by ICE agents near 34th and Portland. This was in South Minneapolis. Yesterday, they were gathering there at this moment, demonstrators wanting to hold ICE agents accountable. And we're tracking really the latest with all of this. Kelsey mentioned the cell phones there. What we've seen so far are witness videos of what happened yesterday with that deadly shooting. We don't yet know if there is body camera video. R5 Investigates has been talking with analysts, and they are talking about how important that will be to see that body camera video. They're protesting here. They said that they were gathering to protest what ICE agents are doing in Minneapolis, and of course, what happened yesterday with that deadly shooting of 37-year-old Renee Good. Right now, this is our photojournalist, Nate, along with our reporter, Kelsey Christensen, out there again. This is near the airport here, Fort Snelling, a federal building where ICE works.
Where there are some ICE offices. Kelsey, it looks like you want to bring us another update here.
ICE. Okay, sure. We're being told to move. Give me 1 second. ICE looks like is drawing closer to protesters on the other side of the street here, trying to move protesters off the federal building property here. But yeah, this started at 7 o'clock. I was told that it was going to be peaceful. I heard them tell each other that, the other protesters, whoever organized this, even speaking about de-escalation techniques. Clearly, that's something that is not exactly happening out here this morning as the crowd went across the street all the way up to those white gates. If you can see that, that is where the cutoff is for the federal building where ICE agents enter into work. As I said, as soon as ICE agents started coming into work, that's when the crowd got really ramped up and went as close as they could to the fence and those white gates here. You see ICE agents lining the side of the street now, the road blocked off. Oh, come over here, come over here. Something's going on over here, another interaction with ICE agents and protesters. Looks like a fight. A sign was just thrown. we're trying to make our way over there. Right now I'm behind, oh geez.
Kelsey, stay safe out there. We know that within the last 30 minutes, you were saying as some of that mace and pepper balls were sprayed, you were inhaling.
Tear gas deployed. If you look by that American flag, you'll see tear gas just deployed. I'm sorry. Excuse me, sorry. I just got yelled at by ICE to get back. You see tear gas deployed now as protesters and ICE agents again face off on the other side of this building. As I mentioned, there are two entrances here. ICE agents demanding that these protesters get to the other side of the street. Looks like that is their goal of this operation. Excuse me, of this operation that they're putting on right now here. So tear gas has been deployed, if you can see, pan to over to the left here. Tear gas deployed by ICE agents after some sort of fight broke out again on this one entrance. The other entrance to the federal building, ICE agents even telling me to get back, despite having a press badge. That kind of is a really difficult thing to differentiate. Looks like there's a excuse me. Looks like there's a fight breaking out between protesters and ICE agents. Someone being dragged right now. Look at this. So dragging someone over.
Wait, there's something that needs to get to safety.
We have someone right here that was just tear gas. Looks like she needs to get to safety here. Hopefully have some water for her. Nate, let's go ahead and get a better view. What's going on?
So as we watch this live camera, Kelsey, I'm going to let you catch your breath, struggling with the irritants in the air there outside of the Whipple Federal Building there off Highway 62, right by Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport. There are some ICE offices in that building. It has become a place where demonstrators have sent their focus clearly as they want to push back against the federal immigration operations happening in Minnesota. Well, you can see a lot of the chemical live at that view here from our 5 Eyewitness News camera. Again, this large gathering started about an hour and a half ago this morning. Again, it was described as this group planning a march, okay, starting at the federal building. And at some point here, as we take in this live view, there was a flashpoint, and federal agents emerged from the building. It's become clear as we've talked with Kelsey and watched these live images that the federal agents' priority is to protect that facility, and they have been trying to push the crowd back. But the crowd, clearly, as you're watching this, has been defiant at times as well.
Kelsey said they went up to a parking lot area where the federal agents were telling the protesters to move back. And, you know, we're looking right now at some of the protest video from this morning. Again, this is before that flashpoint that sort of happened at about 8 o'clock. And as people were gathering to protest, it was beginning at 7 o'clock this morning. And there, some other video, Kelsey saying she's seen mace, pepper balls deployed there. And there's been this look at what's gone on with federal agents across the country since September, people being shot in their vehicles. We know that at least 9 people have been shot across the country in their vehicles by federal agents since September, and then 5 have been killed. That number includes Renee Good, 37-year-old Renee Good in Minneapolis, and that was just yesterday. Right now, Kelsey Christensen on the ground with our photojournalist Nate, and we've been seeing their picture breaking up right now. We want Kelsey to stay safe. She was saying even with that press badge, she has been asked to pull back from that area. And you can see with the tear gas, it was moving the crowds who, Kelsey, they're coughing, having a tough time there on the scene. And so we can rejoin that live look outside of the Whipple Federal Building here this morning. Again, this clash between federal immigration agents, ICE agents, and these demonstrators who have gathered. Kelsey's right in the middle of all of this. And we know that the governor has put the National Guard on standby, presumably for situations like this where things are escalating. So our news team will no doubt be checking with the state today, local officials, to see what the response is going to be. But here at this early hour here this morning, Kelsey, things escalated fast
in a second, it seems.
They escalated very fast. In fact, we had to catch our breath. We just got tear gassed with the crowd there. A protester gave us each a mask, which was very kind. But this started as a peaceful protest at 7 o'clock this morning outside of the federal building. In fact, across the road in a parking lot near the Metro Transit, if you know this area, in Fort Snelling here. Things were peaceful. Protesters, hundreds of them, lined the street here across from the federal building. However, as soon as ICE agents started to come into work at both of these gates here, there are two gates, so the protest got a little bit separated. That's when the crowd really was getting upset, moving forward, saying profanities at these agents, and then also telling them to get out of Minnesota, saying they want them arrested. And the protesters getting as close as the fence, even grabbing the fence at some points, and again saying profanities at these agents. The agents were just behind me here in the parking lot, and we're getting geared up with riot gear, masks, weapons, and then they started to encroach on the left side here, the other side, where protesters were getting very close to getting inside the property, or the property outside of this building. That's when ICE agents came out, and we were running over. If you saw me when this first happened, I was out of breath because we had to run all the way over to the other gate. That's when ICE agents deployed the pepper spray onto, or the mace or the pepper spray onto a few of the protesters as they were telling them to move back. They would not move back, and then they pepper sprayed them in the face. Those protesters got back after that happened, of course, having to clear their eyes out with water and whatnot. And then because this protest is so big, it's hard to see exactly what's going on at every point. But then we heard some commotion. Followed that commotion, we saw ICE agents bring several people to the ground. They were pointing pepper balls at the ground as well, deploying that, telling people to back off, including ourselves. And then just a few minutes ago, tear gas was deployed on that same entrance where all of this started, where the mace started and the fighting. And now you're seeing ICE agents continue to line the street here, as it seems like their goal is to push people completely off of the property to the other side of the street. So basically right now both gates are completely blocked because of the crowd and ICE agents. This road is also blocked here. There's a Metro Transit line over there that looks like it is still running, but cars are not able to get through. So right now we're a little bit back after getting tear gassed, trying to catch our breath here, but also trying to get a better vantage point for you, because from here you can see the whole span of the protest. And when commotion ensues, looks like there might be something going on right here, Nate, to the right. ICE agents coming down to the crowd there on the looks like the visitor office A gate. If you know this area, I'm going to get a little bit closer to see if I can see what's going on. But as far as any chemicals used, we have seen mace, we have seen pepper balls, and we have seen tear gas. We have experienced them all. It is not a fun thing to go through. A lot of people here have water to flush out their eyes. Masks are being used, but ICE agents telling people to get back, making this very clear that they will not be letting anyone onto the property of this federal building. Looks like we now have more ICE agents coming out, about a dozen, to help out with all these people lining the street, all these agents lining the street. It's hard to count exactly, but I'd say about maybe 100 ICE agents out here at this point. That's a big difference from when this first started. There were about a dozen, and we're seeing hundreds of protesters still. You're leaving? Okay, sounds like the protesters are going to be leaving for everyone's safety.
Yeah, it's gotten too escalated. There was no good point to this.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Sure. So these people have a megaphone, so they might be able to spread the word here, but protesters just telling me right now that they are planning to leave this area for everyone's safety. Of course, that's going to be a tall order when it comes to hundreds of people that we're talking to try and spread this message. So we'll continue to watch this and see if things clear out here. But ICE agents definitely ramping up their presence. There were just a dozen when this started, maybe a half hour ago. I'm kind of losing track of time here as this unfolds, but now looks to be probably 100 ICE agents lining the street here as protesters might be going home. We'll be watching this.
Okay. Okay, Kelsey Christensen live there outside of the Whipple Federal Building in the Twin Cities, right there near Minneapolis, St. Paul International Airport off of Highway 62 with this flashpoint that happened here earlier this morning, the escalating tensions, a very complex situation here with a couple of forces at play. You have the federal immigration agents who, it became clear as we watched these live images, emerged from the facility protecting that federal building where there are ICE offices. And at the same time, you have the crowd of demonstrators, and there is outrage. There is anger in that crowd after the shooting and killing by an ICE agent of 37-year-old Renee Good yesterday in South Minneapolis. And that clash between the two sides on display here. And Kelsey just reporting it looks like they're going to be clearing out of that area. We have news crews responding. We're going to keep eyes on it as it unfolds here this morning.
They were gathering at 7 o'clock this morning, and we saw that dozens turning into hundreds of protesters there, as Kelsey described, peacefully. And then at 8 o'clock, a flashpoint where there was that conflict between the ICE agents and the protesters. But moments ago, just hearing on that bullhorn, protesters saying they were going to clear because of safety concerns. This is video here from just the past 90 minutes of those protesters, where our reporter Kelsey Christensen has been there live on the ground along with our photojournalist Nate. There were pepper balls, there were tear gas there, mace, all in an effort from ICE agents to keep protesters away from that area. This was a planned protest. People there so that they could protest ICE agents in Minneapolis. This, of course, all starting after yesterday morning, an ICE agent shot and killed 37-year-old Renee Good, a mother, and then this has turned into a local story now gaining worldwide attention. We know Minneapolis public schools, out of an abundance of caution and safety concerns, have canceled school for the rest of the week. We know these protests and vigils are planned not only to honor the life of Renee Good, but also, they say, to tell ICE agents not to be in the city. Now, there's a differing opinion. We've heard from Secretary Kristi Noem that this shooting and killing was in fact justified, saying that ICE agents feared for their safety, feared for their lives. On the other hand, hearing from Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey saying the video indicates that is not the case. 5 Investigates has been going through that video, talking with federal agents, former federal agents, who are describing how it's tough to see exactly what happened, but if there is body camera video, that seeing that will be a big helper for investigators as they go through that video with a fine-tooth comb.
No doubt. Those multiple witness videos, looking at one of them here on your screen this morning, are going to be so key in this joint investigation that's unfolding now between the federal government and you've got the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension working together to investigate this deadly shooting by an ICE agent of this woman here in South Minneapolis. You can bet that that investigation will include going through all of these witness videos frame by frame as they try to analyze exactly what unfolded here. Big day ahead with Secretary Noem, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, set to speak 10 o'clock this morning. And we know the governor's put the National Guard on standby here in our state. I think we're ready to go back to Kelsey.
I want to go right now back out to our Kelsey Christensen photojournalist Nate live there. This is again the federal Whipple building, Fort Snelling, near Minneapolis St. Paul International Airport. Kelsey, just about 10 minutes ago, we heard protesters saying they were going to leave for their safety.
Yeah, that's right. And we've seen, looks like a few hundred leave. However, as you can see down the line here, looks like still maybe 100 to 200 are making the decision to stay out here and protest outside of this federal building. So I want to see if we can walk a little bit closer here to show you what the line is looking like between protesters and ICE agents. We're not seeing any commotion or violence here at this point. It looks like this woman is speaking with ICE agents. I'm not sure what the exchange is here. It looks like she is just expressing her concerns and her being upset about the shooting yesterday to these ICE agents here. But if we can, Nate, photographer Nate, if you can pan to the left, I want to show you this large row of ICE agents that has developed here within the last 15 minutes or so, much of them coming out of the federal building here to create a perimeter. They have been successful at pushing the crowd to the other side of the street at this point, and see the line still continues to go down here, spanning much of the street just outside of this federal building. Some protesters are still yelling things at these ICE agents. However, they're not getting close enough for a fight or for mace to be deployed. I haven't seen any tear gas here within the last few minutes, but just to recap here, guys, for you again, this started as a peaceful protest at 7 o'clock this morning. As soon as the ICE agents started coming into work, that's when the crowd really got ramped up, getting closer all the way up to the fence here at the federal building. That's when ICE agents came out in the mass here, now seeing looks like 100 or more ICE agents now creating this barrier, being successful, moving the crowd to the other side of the street. But mace was deployed, pepper balls were deployed, as well as tear gas. We experienced them all ourselves as well. ICE even telling us to get out of the way. We saw them pull several people to the ground. I saw them at one point even dragging one person across the street. Not exactly sure what unfolded, but I did catch a glimpse of that agent dragging someone laying down all the way to the other side of the street here. And then the protesters, looks like it was one of the main organizers, had a megaphone telling everyone to leave for their safety, just given what went down here within the last hour or so. So the crowd has about halved, I'd say, but there were so many people. We're talking 300, 400 people is what I would estimate, but still looks like about 100 people have decided to remain here at this protest, still going up to ICE agents and saying whatever they may be saying about their concerns, telling them to leave, but looks like nothing is getting violent here at this point. But the crowd has about halved, I would say, and from what it was this morning. Just a massive protest.
What you're saying right there is that it appears as if the crowd is cut in half, but our photojournalist, Nate, if you could pan away from Kelsey and show us, this is quite remarkable, quite a remarkable sight. Kelsey, you were saying when this all began, it was about a dozen ICE agents, and knew in just the past 20 minutes, about 100 ICE agents there, sort of flooding out of that building there, the federal Whipple building there near the airport there, Fort Snelling area, making that perimeter there a remarkable sight. You're saying that that has multiplied from just about a dozen to perhaps you're estimating 100 ICE agents, all there forming that perimeter there at that protest.
Yeah, that is exactly right. And it really was just amazing to watch this all unfold so quickly, given that we were expecting a peaceful protest, clearly escalating to the point where mace, pepper balls, and tear gas were all deployed here. But yeah, I mean, when we're talking about the protest yesterday, this is what this is reminding me of when it's coming to the violence and the face-to-face with ICE agents and protesters. We're seeing that again here unfold this morning outside of the federal building. Again, this is where ICE agents primarily operate out of here in the Twin Cities. But still, many people this morning looks like refusing to leave, still wanting to show their support for the community, still wanting to show up and make their concerns known and tell ICE to get out of Minnesota, calling for their arrest. Many people walking about a foot or two away from ICE as they communicate those concerns to them. I'm just scanning the perimeter here to see if I'm seeing any commotion. Looks like this protester might be getting a little bit close, but nothing violent here at this moment.
Kelsey,
Seeing a lot of people videotape these exchanges.
Yeah, Kelsey,
Go ahead, Matt.
Just worth repeating here this morning that the organizers from the demonstrators that you heard from did say they want people to leave this area, that making that call for their own safety. Just to be clear, some of the organizers who you heard from with the megaphones there were saying that folks should leave. Clearly, not everyone is listening to that suggestion here this morning. Just talk about the complex layers at play here. I mean, you have the federal agents who clearly have orders to protect this facility, trying to establish that perimeter with this huge show of force. But at the same time, there's so much anger and outrage and frustration with the killing of this woman in South Minneapolis yesterday, and that also on full display. And these tensions, as you have shown us here live this morning, can erupt in a moment's notice.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. There has been so much tension since the protest began, since the shooting began yesterday, but then feeling this again this morning as hundreds of people were showing up. They were singing about love and being there for one another in their community. And then clearly, once they visibly saw these ICE agents here going into work, just a big emotions, and clearly seeing that displayed out here this morning in, quite frankly, a lot of rage, a lot of profanity, a lot of screaming, a lot of shoving and pushing. And then you also have these ICE agents as well who have to create a perimeter and not let protesters get inside of the barrier, who also, yes, have a job to do. I'm sure that they're also feeling the weight of what happened yesterday. The protesters are feeling the weight of what happened yesterday. Such an unprecedented thing that is happening right now here in Minneapolis again. So it's not like people in Minneapolis or here in Minnesota are new to these types of incidents, new to these types of protests, riots, whatever you might want to call them. And clearly there's just some really heavy emotion and some really heavy grief that you can feel in the air, but then also just hear from what they're saying. These people are frustrated, they are angry, and they have made it very clear that they want ICE out of their city. And that is what we're seeing being displayed out here today.
And opposing views, opposing statements on that, with that video here as part of the center of what is ahead, looking to understand exactly what happened there at 34th and Portland in the central neighborhood of South Minneapolis. I was out there yesterday right near that scene. Tensions were high there. We're looking at that video here. This is witness video. Our 5 Investigates team working to gather that witness video, talking with people who worked with investigations at the federal level before, trying to discern exactly what happened. At this point, we do not have body camera video. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem saying it is up to the FBI whether or not they will give that video, whether that video will be shown, and that is what experts are telling our 5 Investigates will really help investigators determine exactly what happened. We know the community, though, on high alert. Minneapolis Public Schools closing all schools, all activities for the rest of the week out of an abundance of caution there, worried about safety. We know yesterday Green Central Elementary School, a dual immersion school, just 2 blocks from that deadly incident, shut down. They were in that lockdown. Stay with 5 Eyewitness News and Eyewitness News on 45 TV as we continue to track this breaking news.
We've got our Bailey Hurley, who we've moved to this location outside of the federal building. Bailey, what can you tell us from your perspective here this morning?
Matt, Brandy, we're just getting here to the scene, and I'm joined here with 2 folks who are leaving the protest. You guys have been here this morning. Blaine and Leo, thanks for joining us. Can you talk about when you got here, what brought you out here, but now also why you're leaving?
So the reason why we came here, it was an emergency protest that was organized in the aftermath of Renee Good's murder, and we got here pretty early, and the last 30 minutes what happened was ICE basically sprinted and shoved a bunch of people out of the way, pepper balled pepper sprayed, tear gas, and they arrested a couple people. They detained them and took them into the Whipple building.
You've seen people being taken in handcuffs into the building.
Yes, they detained. I saw one person get detained, but some people have said there was multiple people that got detained, and it seemed like, at least from observation, because the person who was detained was in the very back of the protest group. It was based off the color of their skin. That person was not doing anything. They were just standing there, and they just went straight for him, handcuffed him, put his face in the snow, and then took him off, and then shoved everyone out of the way.
Leo, in your perspective, what caused this to get to the point where pepper spray, tear gas is being deployed? From what I understand, and from our reporter who was here from the beginning, this was planned to be peaceful. Who escalated it?
ICE, absolutely. I didn't see anybody even cross the line to get up on the sidewalk. Nothing happened. We were standing there protesting peacefully, and they just bum rushed everyone and put that guy on the ground and arrested him. He was far behind us. Yeah. He didn't do anything.
We were at the very front.
Sorry.
We were at the very front. We were standing from me to the, 5 feet away from ICE, and they just pushed us out of the way and went straight for him in the very back of the
Was he doing anything? Was he agitating the ICE officers and assaulting them, anything like that?
Nothing. He was not doing anything. He was peacefully protesting just like everybody else, practicing his First Amendment, and they went straight for him. And again, like I said, I'm pretty sure it was based off racial profiling. And
for this to turn into what it did, what does that mean to you? But also, why are you guys leaving?
We're leaving because it seems like the group is starting to die down, and usually when it starts to die down, that's when they start attacking people, usually. And I gotta pay my bills and everything too. So, but at the same time, ICE, it kind of is pretty blatant as day is that they do not care. They do not care about following the law. They do not care about peace. They do not care about anything. They are here to brutalize people, to scare people, to push fear into every immigrant, and at this point, just American citizens in general. And I think the protesters are going to get a lot bigger because Minnesota does not back down from stuff like this. Our history shows that. So.
One more question for you, Leo. Do you worry about things? You saw things escalate here this morning. Do you worry that things are going to further escalate, kind of what he was just alluding to, as the days go on?
Absolutely. I don't think ICE gives a shit. Excuse my language. They do not care about the people that live here. They will absolutely escalate things, and this was just the aftermath of Renee Good's murder. If they went that far, they will go so much further.
Okay. Thank you.